Today in the crypto space, we see some green price action out of Bitcoin up approximately 5%, breaking out of the resistance, and Ethereum following Bitcoin's lead up approximately 2%, hitting that $3,200 mark. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, some of them are deep in the green: Solana, Atom, Matic, and many, many more. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to talk about Bitcoin, guys. I want to focus on Bitcoin because at the end of the day, Bitcoin hitting these bullish price targets means a lot for the rest of the crypto space. So let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome on the channel. We talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click that bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Of course, you can hit me up on those socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's see what's going on here with the top 100. Generally speaking, we can see that the market is basically moving. The market cap right now has definitely broke out of that $2 trillion range, definitely at about 2,200 million and so on. At the end of the day, guys, we're seeing a lot of strength in the crypto space, a lot of capitals entering, flowing in, some trading volume definitely looking strong here, a nice little pop to the upside, meaning that we could be seeing a lot of movement in the next little while. But the question is it Bitcoin's turn again? Is Bitcoin going to continue going to higher levels, maybe getting into price discovery very soon? At the end of the day, guys, it's possible, statistically possible. However, I am still focusing on altcoins. At the end of the day, Bitcoin can get a hesitation at any moment and send the altcoins flying. So ultimately, as we continue seeing strength in Bitcoin, it leads us to believe that we're going to get another cycle where we're going to see people take profits off of Bitcoin once it hits a level of resistance, that those profits will be, potentially enter the Ethereum narrative. Then from the Ethereum narrative, we'll get some of the price action into the altcoins again. So again, it's very likely that we might get another run in altcoins, and eventually when Bitcoin does really show us some real sideways price action, we will get another altcoin season, and Bitcoin dominance will definitely fall. We'll take a look at Bitcoin dominance, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and everything tonight on the live stream. Guys, feel free to join. It's a great time and place to make any requests for any projects you want me to take a look at. Okay, so 7:30 Eastern. Let's continue going down here. Let's see what's going on. BNB grinding to the upside. We have Solana getting a nice spike to the upside, 5%, outperforming Bitcoin, outperforming Ethereum, outperforming a lot of the projects currently. So you got to understand, getting into the right altcoin basically means that you could be outperforming Bitcoin. I know a lot of people say when Bitcoin moves, you should be into Bitcoin, but if you pick the right altcoins, a lot of them could still outperform Bitcoin. And that's one of the things that I've been looking at lately, trying to find the greatest altcoins to get into, right? We have Polygon looking strong. We have Tron looking strong. Chainlink getting a nice little bounce to the upside. Nothing great, but still Sheeb is doing okay, doing its thing. A lot of the market now is currently swelling up and reacting. Near protocol up 10%. Guys, you know how bullish I am on Near. We have, what else do we have here? Stacks, of course, based on the Bitcoin narrative, we see Stacks wake up another 10-11%, outperforming Bitcoin. Even Tau is outperforming Bitcoin with an 8.5% pop to the upside. Their hash graph is doing pretty good. At the end of the day, keeping up with Bitcoin is as best as it can be. At the end of the day, if you're into an altcoin, VeChain up 10%, guys. So the list goes on. The list goes on. If you get into the right altcoin, you're definitely in some gains. And this is the thing here, guys. It's about knowing which projects are fundamentally bullish, getting into positions that are with great risk to reward ratios and being very, very patient, right now. That's exactly what we need to do, is keep on hustling and finding entries on great projects. Like Same took off, Sui took off already prior, and I'm still feeling that ultimately a rollover, a bit of a dip could be around the corner, especially when Bitcoin maybe hits its resistance, maybe gets a bit of a pullback. We could see some of these altcoins definitely pull back a bit harder than expected. So I'm going to be patient there because that could be the buy opportunity that I'm looking for. market wide, because some of them have already been retracing, and a little bit of a dip more could actually bring some fear, uncertainty, and doubt, some FUD into the market on some of these altcoins where I can be buying in on the cheap. So I'm not rushing this, guys. Be very patient. I do have a lot of positions already intact, already bought the dips on many of them. But it's time to get defensive. It's time to get defensive, trail up a stop loss, considering maybe taking a bit of profits just in case type of thing. If you're overexposed, this is the time to get into a defensive mode, because now's not the time to really be looking for entries unless you have a long-term vision. Lots of these altcoins are popping up to the upside, as you can see. Some of them are still going sideways. Some of them are patiently waiting for their turn. At the end of the day, you got to pick your poison. There's a lot of good projects here that have yet to really move. We have Frax ETH doing well based on the Ethereum narrative. ETH is above 3,000 all of a sudden and trekking towards 3,500. Guys, really bullish overall for the Ethereum and ultimately for altcoins. We need altcoins to be led by Ethereum. Ethereum showing dominance, Ethereum showing strength means that altcoins still have an opportunity to continue moving to the upside. Okay, look at Akash looking really good, 10% to the upside for Akash, and this is just the top 100. The lower caps are definitely, there's some of them that are absolutely flying. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts. Let's begin. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Let's talk about Bitcoin today. Today's all about Bitcoin. We'll be focusing on what's going on here. Ultimately, it's showing a lot of strength, and it broke right through the volume gap that I identified earlier on, a weak spot in the chart, and we know we broke right above the resistance, no doubt. And sometimes, you know, that short squeeze could definitely have a lot of power, and then it definitely overreacts. The market overreacts, and you know, it exceeds our expectations ever so slightly. You know, those expectations, you know, are definitely there to be hunted. Those expectations cause people to put in shorts, to put in stop losses, to put in all kinds of, you know, over leveraged positions, and then all of a sudden the volatility causes, you know, reactions that are over expected, and then that's when people get wrecked. So let's look at this in a little bit more detail, because ultimately I'm using Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but I'm not really getting active in the price action. For me, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Why? Because Bitcoin did well already. I'd rather not trade this. I'd rather just wait and let my bags ride to the upside very patiently. Because honestly, getting in at lower levels was the right thing to do, and now just patiently waiting for altcoin dips, in my opinion, is potentially the smartest thing you could be doing, because altcoins in comparison to Bitcoin are not really performing as well, because of course Bitcoin is a large cap project, the biggest one out there. So we have to understand that it's gonna, any little move in Bitcoin is gonna bring the market up. The overall total crypto market cap is gonna swell up really fast because Bitcoin's so large. But if you look at the micro caps, they barely moved yet, and they're barely starting into this price action. You can see that Bitcoin from its bottom did run up significantly. Let's go on the daily, and you can see what I mean. I highlight these levels because I'm like, okay, let's be prepared for these zones. No, we get rejected here. Could be that we come back down to about 40K. It's very possible. Lots of market participation here. So really what I'm saying is, look, we can get a reaction right now. We can get in a massive distribution phase all into here. A lot could happen at this stage, but it's overheated. It's really frothy up here. We're getting divergences on multiple time frames on the daily. We're getting it on the weekly. Let this thing load. If we can get some data in here on the weekly, I'm not sure why the weekly. Oh, there it is. You see the weekly divergence right here, and it's very clear on the daily. The 4 hours diverging as well based on the spike that just happened. You can see higher highs on the price action, lower highs on the RSI. Could this get invalidated? Could all these divergences from the weekly down to the 4 hour get invalidated? Possible. It's possible. However, guys, probability is that this is either going to be a short-term, low-volume pop to the upside. And if we go back into the daily, really look at the volume into this move. The volume in all of this move, pretty much all the way from down here, wasn't the biggest. What we did was we got massive institutional buy-ins right at this level that got a lot of this price action going with a lot of conviction and strength. But ultimately, that's going to slow down because all those people that bought at the bottom, they're going to want to take a bit of profit, and it could be that we come down for a bit of retracement. So we got to keep that in mind. This is why I'm focusing on altcoins. This is why I am more prepared in taking risk in altcoins. Before we get into more detail here, let's look at what's been happening here with Bitcoin, the overall sentiment in the market. We can see that right now, based on what's happening on search criteria, A lot of us use the internet, of course, to search various things that we're interested in, and the data that we collect on Google could definitely give us an indication of what how much interest there is in Bitcoin. And you can see that people have been searching, okay? And we have Ethereum as the red, and we have Bitcoin as the blue. Bitcoin obviously right now is doing much better as far as search terms, interest over time. And then just in the last little while, beginning of November, essentially we've been getting a lot more interest, right? A lot more spikes. We came right back down. You can see a bit of a retracement here, but ultimately this is proof of life. In my opinion, this is a scenario where you're starting to see the market wake up and kind of give you a little bit of interest. Look at Ethereum. Ethereum is pretty much waking up as well. Early stages of a wake-up call, flatline, planking pretty much. And then all of a sudden, peaks and valleys. Those peaks and valleys, get back tested. They get, a bit of attention. They get people looking for confirmations and all of that, because really what's happening with these peaks and valleys is that people are buying and getting in and getting out, and interest in overall sentiment is, peaking and distributing. So ultimately what we have to be looking for here is a huge move to the upside. Now, before we get into let's kind of look at what's happening here, 2004 to present. If you look at where we are, big picture, like we didn't even spike up that much, like up to here, right? We want to really get up to that level. If we get up to that level, we're going to have a lot of people really interested, and the different regions of the world are definitely getting interested. But what really interests me right now is the past 7 days. Look at this. Flatline for a good while, and then all of a sudden spike. This is what we've been seeing here in the last couple of days. A huge amount of interest in not only Bitcoin, but Ethereum, because Ethereum has been showing a lot of strength as well. This could indicate to us that we are in the beginning of a scenario where we're getting our first wave of the retail market interested in Bitcoin. And it's directly in line with the halving. It's directly in line with the fact that Bitcoin is reaching for those top level prices, in the sense that it's looking for the previous highs and potential price discovery. And this is where the retail market tends to want to get interested. So let's keep in mind that ultimately we're getting a lot of market interest right now. And this is the time where we could see a bit of volatility. Market participation, market interest of retail market definitely brings in that volatility. I want to look at what's been happening in the last 30 days. We're seeing a little bit of peaks and valleys, but obviously really it's this spike that I'm really interested in the last little while. Another thing that is really interesting to me is that a lot of people are totally disregarding the fact that there's many profitable individuals, and when there's a lot of profitable individuals that bought at such lower levels, you got to understand that it's a lot more risky to be holding, because those people are going to want to take profits. We already discussed that Bitcoin, a lot of institutional buying was all the way down here. Let's get into the weekly so we can consolidate a bit of this noise and you can see what I mean. In fact, why don't we just kind of like hide some of it. There you go. A lot of the institutional buying was all the way down here. You can see, look at all this volume spike and a huge volume spike right here. And all of a sudden we know that this was a zone where a lot of people bought in, which means that a lot of people up here are in some deep profits. So what does that mean? That means that the people that are still holding and that haven't taken any profit, or maybe are getting into fresh longs at the current moment, are buying into the greed of the market, which means that it could be very, very risky to get in. Now, one thing that I want to note is that we're only at 72. I've seen much greedier states, but in raging bull runs, we can get into the 80 zone, 90 zone. We can get really, really close to the 100 zone. I've seen it in the past, but at the current state that we are somewhat greedy, in almost a very healthy level of greed, right? It's not too crazy because, again, we're not in that 100 zone, but we're still within the greed zone, which means that we could still have an opportunity to get greedier, which means that altcoins could have that leeway, that opportunity to continue running and get the market super greedy. Now, if we look at this, the prior levels of the fear and greed, we can see that Bitcoin ultimately right now is somewhat greedy and it's doing pretty good, reaching higher levels, definitely in the green and doing its thing. If we look at ETH at the also, it's a little bit lower. Although it's a bit greedy, I feel like it has a little bit more. And if we compare them, you can see that it's a little bit lower. And I'm wondering what else do we have here? BNB, okay, if you're interested, there's a lot more options here. But if comparing, I wish there was a way to compare. Bitcoin is a lot higher. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but look at the time frame that we're looking at. If we would zoom in here, you would see that Bitcoin is a bit higher here, and Ethereum has a little bit more catch up to do within the fear and greed index as well. So if Ethereum holders are not that greedy, and even still Bitcoin holders are even not that greedy here at 72, that means that ultimately we have a bit of room to grow both in altcoins, maybe even still in Bitcoin. But again, Bitcoin is a bit risky. All right, let's get back into the price action. Reason why it's risky is because it could get rejected at any moment at previous highs, at a lower high, because if you use Fibonacci, I know my TA is going to come back out here. Boom, that's it. And Fibonacci wise, we are currently testing the 786. We're reaching there. We broke above the golden pocket with some conviction here. You can see that low volume move, bearish divergence on the MACD as well. Let's make this bigger. Let's make it a bit bigger. You can see the histogram bars are showing a bit of divergence right now. The EMAs are strong. Okay, if we close this cluster of histogram bar a little lower than this one right here, that's bearish divergence. But you got to admit these EMAs are looking strong still here on the weekly. If you look on the daily, we potentially are getting some divergence. Let me fix this up here a little bit. Are we getting divergence? Not really. Are not really happening. So we're showing a bit of sideways, perhaps, right? A bit of indecision, and which means that when you're indecisive, Bitcoin is going sideways, and Ethereum might continue taking the driver's seat as it has been for the last couple of days. So there's a lot to be said here with Bitcoin. There's a lot to be said with Ethereum and the relationship between Ethereum and Bitcoin, guys. And I'm going to be live tonight talking about this relationship and using the Bitcoin dominance, because ultimately I'm expecting the dominance to continue coming down. And of course, if it does, we're going to see the altcoin market do super well. Now, worst case scenario, again, I have these zones that I'm, definitely keep an eye on. One of which is this one right here. If we come down to this zone, I'll be buying the dips. If we do come down to about 32, I'll also be buying the dip. And at worst case scenario, I'm just making sure that I have a bit of capital reserved at all times, because you never know what could happen. This is the ultimate level of support for Bitcoin. If it does come down here, I will be buying the dip, but not on Bitcoin. Right, I'll be buying altcoins 100%, looking for altcoins plays, looking for altcoins that are at the bottom of the range with great risk to reward ratios. We got to understand right now here on the daily, the MACD is not looking really good. EMA is crossing, a bit of confusion right now. We could be getting a green histogram bar any moment, but I don't like this confusion, right? It's a bit of a whipsaw price action, whipsaw type of sentiment that is not very convincing to me. Guys, so far we're doing good. Bitcoin is looking strong. Ethereum and the rest of the market is looking strong, and we could potentially see a lot more capital enter this market so that we can see the overall total market cap swell up to well above $3 trillion. All right, guys, if you found any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor and slap up the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. Of course, I'm going to be live tonight at 7:30 Eastern. Feel free to join. It's a great place and time to make those requests on any projects that you're interested in. And of course, guys, join that Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.